So, this week at school, I was grabbing lunch, and between my school has periods. It's pretty much like a glorified high school in that respect. And between periods, or I guess in the middle of the period, there's not a lot of people in the lunchroom, or at least not a lot of people in line. So, I like to go in the middle of the period when I can, so I don't have to wait in long lines. And I'm eating lunch with some of my friends, just doing the normal stuff. And I ended up going back out for seconds. And they had this barbecue pizza in the pizza line. And I really like their barbecue chicken pizza. So, of course, I'm going back for seconds for the barbecue chicken pizza. And I'm in line. There's only one other person there, right? Middle of a period, so everyone's either already got their food or they're in class. So there's only one other person there. He's right in front of me. And he turns around. I'm really close to him. He turns around, almost runs into me, and I was like, "Oh, my bad." Like just how you normally would when you almost run into someone. And he stops, and he looks me in the eye, and he goes, "No, it was my fault. I'm sorry," and walks away. Just exactly like that. Same inflection, same speed, everything. Just no, it was my fault. I'm sorry. And it stuck with me, right? I go back to my table and I'm like, I don't know what just happened. Like, typically it's just like, sorry, and you don't even think about it. Like, I probably do that 1,000 times a day because I'm not good at paying attention when I walk. But he, stopped. And it really made an impact. And, I think about it all the time. I'm like, well, was it actually his fault? Because I thought it was my fault. So I drew a diagram of it just so you can see what happened. I hope you can see this, right? So you're walking over here, tables and stuff are down here. You have this fancy, Asian food, usually it's just international food, and the pizza line is right here, right? And he's the star. He's the star right there. I was the dot. So I was pretty close to him. And the only thing I can think is that maybe he thought it was his fault because he turned back into me, but usually everyone leaves this way. So maybe he was saying it was his fault because he turned back around, but it was my fault because I was crowded up on him, right? So, and I sit there, and you're probably laughing. A lot of people laughing, like, why are you thinking about this so much? It's like, because what he did was so out of the ordinary. Because he went above and beyond the call of apology for that instance. It didn't make any sense. So now I sit here and I think about it and I'm like, was I wrong? What actually happened? And as I think about that, I think of Jesus. And I think of God's love for us. That we're the ones that sin, right? We should be apologizing to him. But God sends his son on the cross to die for us. God went above and beyond whatever was expected of him. He went above and beyond all we could ask or imagine to save us. And how, I sit there and I think about this pizza incident and I'm like, whose fault? What happened? Because it was just so extraordinary and so different. And it's amazing to think that that's what God did for us. Is that he went so far above and beyond anything we could imagine that we are still talking about it to this day, 2,000 some odd years later. And I think that is absolutely incredible. That, it doesn't matter whose fault it was. It was our fault. It was Satan's fault. There was sin. Somebody did something wrong at some point. But God said, no, I'm taking this one. Jesus came to the cross. He died. He took our sin for him. He said, no, I don't care if it was your fault. I will take your sin upon me. I will die for your sin so that you can have a clear conscience going into heaven with me and with my Father. And I think that is the greatest show of love. And so, I sit here and I think about this weird pizza incident, and I still think about that, almost a week later. But I can't help but think about that with God. That God says, no, God goes above and beyond what is expected or could even be imagined to be expected of him to save us, to give us a clear conscience, to let us have a relationship with him, and let him guide us into heaven. And I think that is totally awesome.